Good evening, everyone. First item on the agenda is the closed session portion of the meeting. May I have a mover and seconder to go into closed session under the authorities as printed in the agenda? Councillor Muir, Councillor McDonald. All in favor? All hands rising, motion is carried. Going into closed session at 6:30. Okay, report from closed session. Council discussed rewarding the township bursary as a student that was awarded it as the program was canceled, so they're not going to school. Brief conversation regarding personal matters and some potential litigations were discussed in closed session. Okay, time being 7:01. I'd like to call this meeting to order. I'm going to keep it on. Okay, administration advises that there is no new additions to the agenda. Do any members of council wish to make amendments to the agenda? Seeing none, can I have a mover and seconder for motion to approve the agenda as presented? Councillor Tedesco. Councillor Muir. All in favor? All hands rising, motion is carried. Are there any declarations of interest to disclose?
The question of the discussion for the QP matter, that would not be a conflict, I believe, for yourself and my.
No, the CAO has a little more information to provide. Okay, seeing none. We have no new presentations or no presentations and deputations tonight. Okay, minutes of the last regular meeting, November 2nd, or items 5.1 of the agenda. Are there any errors or omissions to note in the minutes?
I just had a little for the item 8.2. The second statement, it says Councillor McDonald also requested additional information on the report. Not really. What I did was I asked the question, since staff take the time to provide the checks details at the library, would it be hard to provide the same information to council? So it's just different wording there. Like I asked the question, not requesting additional information. That's all.
Anyone else? You said it's noted. Okay. May I have a mover and seconder for motion to approve the minutes at items 5.1? Oops, Councillor Muir. Councillor McDonald. All in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, correspondence. Next item is 6.1 is information purposes only. It is a newsletter from Superior Country. Do members of council have any questions? Seeing none. Okay, next matter is item 6.2 is a letter from QP Ontario regarding an OMERS review. Do members of council have any questions? The CAO does have an update on that.
Yeah, at this time, I would suggest that we move this and defer it. I did receive some further information about 3:30 today as well, directly related to municipalities, directly from OMERS. I haven't had time to fully review that whole, but as we as a municipality are not represented by QP, I believe that further information is definitely needed before we put this this motion on the table.
Okay, so that item is deferred.
Mr. Figliomanni, OMERS is Ontario Municipal Employees Retirement System, so aren't our employees part of that system?
Yes, they are. They are part of the OMER system, but this request was from the CUPE union just to look at this. But we did receive, like I said, further information this morning, this afternoon, directly related to from OMERS related to municipalities in particular. So we'll have time to look that over.
Okay.
Okay, so item 6.2 is deferred. Item 6.3 is a letter from resident regarding the removal of a tree. Do members of council have any questions?
I do. I want to know why is something like this coming to us? Isn't that something that would normally be handled by Public Works and just be done with it?
Well, if the concern was that the tree is on township property, so the decision to move that township tree, I guess traditionally goes through the council level. Upon investigation with the director of operations, we do deem that the tree is likely not on township property. So, but of course, any letter that comes directly to council goes on the agenda as a communication. So that's the process of how and why it comes to the council table.
So I believe the Director of Operations and the administration is going to look into the property and to confirm that it's not on township property or whose property it belongs to, and then we'll just go from there and provide guidance to the homeowner if required.
Yeah, we'll just have to do a little bit more work to determine exactly, but by first look in our initial investigation, we do deem that the tree certainly looks like it is not on township property.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none. Next item is 6.4 is a letter from a resident regarding water issues. Do members of council have any questions? Councilor Muir.
So has this been looked at and rectified? I know we're going to be doing the fixing there, but have you discussed the request? Is everything taken care of?
Yeah, so this request came in again as a correspondence, so it ends up at the council table. We did, the day of the request, we did flush hydrants just shortly before that. I'm not saying that's exactly what the whole issue was, but we certainly believe that is and was a major part of that issue that particular day. The project that we have commencing in the spring will hopefully alleviate any problems that we may have like this. So at this point, we as administration do not recommend any action at this time. We did have a bleeder system set up for most of the last little bit as well that helped with the situation. But as weather turns now, it's not really a good time of year to have that bleeder system running as well. So.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I'm down the street from there, and we get the yellow water too, Lake and Orange, and it's, it gets bad throughout the year. That bleeder does help, but I think during the winter, they're definitely at the end of the street at the dead end, so they're still going to get that rust. Usually, it's not bad down our way, but it does. There's a few houses on that street that do get it continually. So yeah, they're definitely able to kind of really look at their meter while they're flushing. I got no problem helping them out for sure. We can look at that.
And that's the request if in the letter is for the support with some of the cost of running their water. So that's again the request that's in front of you as council.
Will that be monitored, Mark? The water at that particular complainant place?
Will the cost be monitored?
No, will the water be monitored to determine, well, you've got a rusty day today, so could you maybe think of giving, say, a case of Walmart water or something like that to offset some?
So, I mean, if you look at the amount of money that and water that we used for the outdoor rink last year, I mean, they're gonna have to run their water for quite a bit of time to get all that rust out. So I mean, the reality is if they do run it for 3-4 hours, I mean, it's well worth reimbursing for if they track it. Then I would imagine they're not gonna be doing it. They might have to do it every other day, but yeah, I mean, the issue was created through our infrastructure, right? So, and it is being rectified, but until then, I think they've been going on with this issue for a while here. And that's pretty bad water.
Was that water an issue for the outdoor rink last year?
We were getting the water from across the street.
Okay.
But it was from the houses and across the street with it.
Okay.
It's running clear. So even if you look at that perspective, the house across the street, crystal clear water, not. So yeah, it is an issue. I know I've seen that water and we've dealt with it at our house as well.
Councillor McDonald.
Now, my question is, if this is happening to their house, how many other houses is this happening to? Yeah,
On the street, there was, so in the summertime, if you go through the houses, like our house, we get for Rutherford, beside us, it usually runs pretty well. But if you look, like when we were filtering through our pool, filling up the pool, we get the water, I steal it from my neighbors behind me and fill up on Taylor. It goes through the filter, crystal clear. As soon as we start filling up the water through our hose, the filter within a day is orange. Within a day, and that's when we have the bleeder on. So sometimes even in the wintertime, we'll notice it's bad, but we just run it. But it's honestly not, ours doesn't get like this. This is extreme because they're on the other end.
So I just want council to be aware that if we accept this for the one person, we could see more letters coming from people all down the street. So if you're going to be waiving it for one person, you have the potential of waiving it for everyone on that street regardless. So we don't know what the standard is. I'm just stating this for your information. As we know, we're redoing the infrastructure next year. I don't know if administration can look at water usage for the houses and compare it, right? Somebody could, just saying that
like
somebody
pick
might.
a random, like
Right.
average usage and then whatever their overage is. Just not sure for that.
Right, I'm just making everyone aware that there's a potential, then if you
Maybe-
approve this, then it could go all the way down the street and then you're just waiving the fees. And you can just snowball from there, so.
I agree that if we're doing it for one person, there's multiple other people that are suffering the same way.
Yeah, and then, I mean, is there a way to bleed these lines? Because the hydrant's pumped out, how does that work? I guess we can discuss that at Public Works.
Yeah, I think that would be with Blair's report.
Yeah,
We
let's
may be
come
able
back
to
to this.
continue this discussion. I do note that we did look at rates on in that particular area and usage, and we did not note that there was really any difference that would indicate that usage was causing the bills to increase. So in this particular case, we didn't really see that usage was any different than a lot of other houses right in that area. So it would, and it could cause something where we see more discussion needed and more letters coming. So that would be something we'd have to be aware of.
Yeah, I would think that the usage is not more because it states that they do not drink or cook with the water, so they're purchasing water elsewhere. Yeah, I do think just some type of, I don't know, some type of financial investigation of how many homes might have the similar problem, something like that, where we can come up with something.
Yeah, I'm sure we can come up with some kind of a study or determination to that, and what is exactly happening in in more than just that one house on that street. We could, I'm sure, bring that back to council in the next little bit for sure.
So in other words, we can defer this matter for a council meeting or two until such time as you come up with a.
Yeah, we can do that and look into that and continue that as an unfinished item moving forward.
Good.
Okay, moving on. There are no reports from committees or boards to review. Next item is 8.1, the report from Director of Operations. Do you remember? Oh. We will get Mr. Westerman here. Everyone has his report. Are there any questions of Mr. Westerman? Councilor Muir?
Yeah, Blair, just if you could, is there any way to flush these lines in the winter? Or if you want to just go over that process if possible?
Oh, yeah, for sure there is. We can still flush a hydrant. It just means a little extra work. Obviously, you don't want to leave a big mess in the street. It's going to freeze. So we have to pump the hydrant up, but it's doable. I would suggest maybe the next time the issue arises at this particular home, I'll go and flush the service. And I'll take a reading from their meter and just see how long it does take to clear the water. That way we can have an idea. I don't know what our current water rate is, $2.20 a cubic meter, something like that. Does anybody know? I think it's roughly something like that. So if you can imagine a cubic meter is like the size of a washing machine. Like that's a considerable amount of water. So if it takes, 2 to 3 cubic meters, you can sort of grasp what that costs. It's not as much as you might think.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan. Yeah, good look at that.
Any other questions? First report, Councilor McDonald.
I just had a question on the wastewater collection. It says Public Works flushed hydrants to sewer. Is that standard? Like,
Yeah, that's generally the practice that we use because it sort of kills two birds with one stone. We flush the sewers at the same time.
oh, okay.
That's practice.
Oh, I was just wondering, like, if that puts more like usage in the sewage. You know what I mean?
Well, it does, but I mean, it's for a purpose. We're flushing the sewer.
Councilor Muir. Oh, sorry, Ken.
Sorry. Go ahead, Gordon.
Oh, thank you. So the number 3, the propane tanks, what does it mean that the propane refilling will not be available?
The Husky's no longer providing
I
that service.
gotcha.
So until such time as somebody else takes up that service, I heard maybe the new gas station on the reserve might provide that, refilling propane. Until that happens, we'll have to probably get them filled in Thunder Bay. So we've recently sent up all the tanks to get revalved. Yet we only had 6 tanks, 3 of which were in good service. So we got the remaining 3 revalved. So now we'll have that much more propane. We shouldn't have to, won't be such a problem, but hopefully we get that service back. in the
Councilor
area.
Tedesco.
If those tanks can't be refilled, does that mean the Olympia machine doesn't go? I take it.
Correct.
So it'll be,
Needs propane.
yeah. I mean, as far as cleaning the ice surface, that would be the only way of doing it, would it? Or would you have another alternative measure means?
No, but I mean, that's not going to be a problem.
What's the cost of a propane tank? That's what, 30-pound tankers, 30-pound tanks or 60-pound tanks?
I did price them out because at one point it was more feasible to buy a new aluminum propane tank than to get it revalved.
Mhm.
But not anymore. They've doubled in price. They're like $485 for aluminum propane tank. and it costs maybe $80 to $90 to get them revalved plus labor. So we took that route. Actually, I don't even think you can find propane tanks right now. Just demand is, they're not available.
And Simcoe performed some routine plants, some routine checks. That's an old plant. Are we looking at the end of life for that plant?
I don't think so. We've had both of those compressor units overhauled in recent years. I think we did one in 2017. We did one, well, in the last 5 years, we've done both compressor overhauls. I can't remember exactly when, but they've been looked at. I mean, they're old, but I mean, they're in good shape for their age.
Yeah. Will this be part of the plan when it's there's rehabilitation of the whole area in the arena there? Is that part of the plan, is to put new compressors and things?
Not
of that
new
sort?
compressors, but a new condenser. The condenser's up on the roof. I think the plan would be to get a dry condenser instead of one that cycles water. That's much better. And then we'll be looking at some of the header works of the plant, like for the ice surface itself. So,
Okay. And this year, will there be an outdoor skating rink? Is that part of your plan?
that's nothing to do with Public Works.
Doesn't Public Works do something to sort of maintain it or something of that sort? No, put it
That's
together?
volunteer.
Yeah, that the ODR is a volunteer committee. We haven't heard very much. We're get back to you on that.
Any other questions on his report? Seeing none, is there a mover and a seconder for motion to receive the report? Councilor Muir, Councilor McDonald. All in favor? Hands rising. Motion is carried. Thank you, Blair. Items 8.2 is a report from the fire chief. Do members of council have any questions of Chief Petrie? Councilor Muir?
Evening, Ryan. What's going on with that compressor there?
Just some minor issues. A couple gauges were replaced. The manifold was just replaced as well. A couple handles. So that's all been taken care of. Terry from Superior Compressors in Thunder Bay was down on Thursday, and he met with 2 members here at the department, and they ended up fixing all the failed components. As my report states, AJ Stone will no longer be servicing this compressor. Terry from Superior Compressor in Thunder Bay will be our new contractor to supply service for this compressor. So, and dealing directly with John Irwin, who is the owner of the company and the builder of all the compressors. And I have been in very, very close contact with him over the last 2 weeks regarding this compressor. So hopefully we're not going to have any more issues with this. Terry's only an hour away, so he's on call pretty much 3 weeks a month, so he can come down at any time to repair any issues that we have.
Yeah, you're in good hands with Terry. He's a good tech.
Well, he seemed to know what he was doing when he was here, so hopefully, like I said, he said he'll come down anytime and fix this for us. And just contact John, and John will set it all up, and he'll come out whenever we need him. So.
Good to hear. Good to hear.
Councilor Tedesco?
Ryan, that's a relatively new compressor, and right off the get-go, there was a couple of issues. Wasn't it O-rings or something that weren't working properly? Are the
there's been a lot of issues with that compressor since day one. The day that they installed it, the electrical box ended up shutting down and not being able to run. And then we had some major issues with copper O-rings that were on the manifold. So the The manifold's been updated since production of the original production of this machine. And then there's just some minor issues with the gauges. So we've updated all the gauges to the newest ones for the new compressors, and everything seems to be working. But yeah, it's I don't want to say it, but it's been a lemon. So hopefully with Terry at Superior in Thunder Bay, he can have this thing up and running, and we're not going to have any more issues.
One other question. At the last council meeting, there was a comment about you're working on getting up to compliance on a number of things. Is there anything that council can do to assist you in the compliance end of things? I don't know what, but is there anything we can do to assist?
As for the compliance, like I said in my report, me and Mark have had several conversations there with our advisor there, Sharon Bach from the OFM EM. She has given us some good guidance. We're probably 90% complete to be in compliance. There's a couple more minor things that we have to deal with here in the next 3 weeks, but we will be compliant by the end of 2021.
Any other questions on the fire chief's report? Councilor Mayor.
Yeah, hey Ryan, just good job on the report there. The fireworks and that spooky open house were big hits. The fireworks, the kids, it was super good this year. It was super good. The kids were they stayed awake for it, and their eyes were just the whole time. So thanks very much for that.
I got to give a huge shout out to my department. They're the ones that make that happen. It's not me. They're the ones that bust their butt for everything, and I'm just there to help out and guide them. But they take it over and they run with it. Without them, I wouldn't be able to do the things that we do here at this fire department. So it's mostly the members of the department that deserve it all, because they make everything happen. I just put it on the table and they run with it, and they support me and they support the community. So that's I just gotta say thanks to the members and their spouses, because they do a lot for us members as well, and help out with like our open house and the fireworks as well. So
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, can I have a mover and seconder to receive the report and to accept the resignation of Desmond Maidment at this time? Councillor Muir, Councillor McDonald. Okay, all in favor? 4 hands rising, motion is carried. Thank you, Ryan.
thank you. Have a good night.
Okay, next we have the CDO. Ashley. Everyone's received a report. Do any members of council have any questions? Councillor Tedesco.
Item G, the development of Red Rocks Community Strategic Plan, Community Profile. Will council be able to be part of the strategic plan?
Yes, there is a council. There is a council consultation session. So we are at the very beginning stages. We have our kickoff meeting with Mick Sweeney tomorrow morning. So the internal project team. And then we will be setting up that consultation timeline shortly afterwards. So the first steps with the consultants are to gather all of the relevant information, previous reports that will help them in this process. They presented kind of like a plan that they would like to do to help us through the strategic planning process. and the implementation, but there will be both public administration, staff and council consultation sessions and workshops, working groups throughout that process. I just want to update number E, the ICIP COVID resiliency. Since the writing up of this report, we have received our transfer payment agreement from the infrastructure program, which has been signed and sent back to them. So once that is signed by them and returned to us, we are good to move forward with that.
Any other questions on Ashley's report? Councillor Tedesco.
Just a comment again, you never fail to amaze us with the amount of work you do. We'd like to know if there's a way of cloning you.
I'll let you know if I find something.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a mover and seconder for motion to receive the report? Councillor Tedesco, Councillor Muir. All in favor? All hands rising, motion is carried. Okay, next is item 8.4 is a report on administrative activity. Do members of council have any questions of Mr. Figlamini? Councillor Tedesco.
I'd like to, if you would expand on meetings with Bruno Contracting, your discussions with them, where we're at.
Certainly, not a problem. I'll kind of go to the beginning, initial meeting with Silvio, and we decided that it would be best if the township contacted the municipality of Shunya directly, because they had been part of that process. So I've done that. I can update that the process with the municipality of Shunya has stopped. They are not pursuing the purchasing of the CN rail land through Shunya to Nipigon. So their concern now has switched just to themselves in Shunya, which was then directed, which then I was directed to CN Rail and a representative of directly through CN Rail. I met with him this morning. And we kind of went through the proposal and what the Township of Red Rock was looking for in this proposal. So those initial discussions happened, at which point they're looking for some further information from Red Rock, basically exactly what we're looking at, tied together with Bruno's contracting. A little bit of a pause now. Mr. Di Gregorio is actually in Chile until the 26th of the month. So I was emailing back and forth with him this morning, but the next step of the process is for Bruno's and myself representing the Township of Red Rock to deal directly with CN Rail. So we do have a contact. We've started those discussions. I really can't give you any report either way other than the discussions are happening, and they will continue when Mr. Di Gregorio is back from Chile on the 26th of this month.
Mark, are you getting a sense of favorable acceptance of this concept from CN? They haven't spit in your face or anything like that and told you to go to hell? Or
no, definitely not. They're definitely interested in the discussions. They have some concerns. There is fiber optic that run through their lands or their line, so they have some concerns over that. They also have some concerns, basically. With landlocking property along the line, as for example, with Red Rock kind of being in the middle, it may be more favorable in their opinion to sell it as one piece and or the bookends, right? Because they're not breaking up that land, but they're certainly willing to discuss this with us. If anything, I don't know what it's initial in the discussion, so I don't know whether it's good or bad that one proponent is not looking at buying all the property, but I certainly wasn't discouraged at all by any discussions. They alluded to the fact that that they do sell more commonly into municipalities than that private stakeholder. And I will provide them with more information based on our plan and exactly what we're looking at. So they're very interested in continuing the discussions, and that's what we will do as early as I'll probably provide them some information before Silvio is back, and then we'll meet them together and put a plan together from there, probably as early as shortly after the 26th.
Mark, have they given you any indication as to what sort of dollar figure they're looking at? Say if we were to look at the end of our municipality to the other end of the municipality, would we maybe just buy that whole section? Because there's probably some benefits in having that along with the fiber optics underneath.
Yeah, I don't really, we didn't get into any of those particulars today, and we did speak very initially into exactly that we were showing an interest and we were working together with Bruno. So I assume a lot more of that information will come out when we get together as a group to have those discussions. I don't think it's definitely going to hurt us to have somebody like Bruno's at the table in the discussions with us.
Are there any other questions? Councillor Muir.
So the meeting with Sun Life, or is it just a renewal?
Yeah, it's basically just a straight up renewal. There is negotiations where we can negotiate rates and they can negotiate rates on our behalf. So that's basically what happened in that case. So we have agreed to terms on the deal based on that meeting.
Is there a mover and seconder for a motion to receive the report? Councillor Muir. Councillor McDonald. All in favor? All hands rising, motion is carried. Next is item 8.5. Report on payment vouchers. Do members of council have any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I do have a comment, and it's to say that I've just recently spoken with Fred Dean, who is the consultant for new councillors. According to Mr. Dean, the system that we have here can be disposed of. It's an antiquated system that is now not used by municipalities' accounting systems. It's not been in use for 40 years, according to him. In past, council would review all checks. This is way past. Council would review all checks and sign them or approve or deny. The system is morphed into a system we have here, and according to him, it's useless because the checks have already been issued. The solution, according to Mr. Dean, is that the council be provided with a monthly variance report, which is relatively detailed and shows expenditures that have been made and gives you an indication of the variance. And that's essentially what I would be interested in, knowing the variance aspects of cost. So anyhow, as far as I'm concerned, we could dispose of this if that's okay with you.
Well, I certainly don't disagree with some of his statements. I mean, those checks are passed or written, but it is clearly the practice of every municipality still that I have studied or looked at. I know there was certainly it does provide that checks and balance for council to approve those payments. The variance, again, is something that we definitely do have to get into. There's been some issues with some of the new software as well, and working our way through the software changes. And definitely I do agree, variance is an important thing, and it is something that we should implement into our council meeting, at least at minimum on a quarterly basis. But I can certainly speak with Mr. Dean as well. But it's always been policy and practice to have the payments and vouchers approved by council. So that's kind of the practice that we've continued to do here.
Yep, thank you. Is there a mover and seconder for a motion to approve the payments in the amount of $129,543.17? Councillor Muir, Councillor McDonald. All in favor? Abstaining? Motion is carried. Next on the report is item 8.6. It's for discussion purposes relating to the closure of the municipal office for the holiday season. Do members of council have any questions of Mr. Figlamini? Councillor Tedesco?
That's quite a long period of time for the office to be closed from the 24th of December to the 3rd of January. I'm concerned about service to the residents of the community. I assume that there would be some process to provide some kind of service to them in the interim. I'm just concerned it's a long period of time. And the other thing is that's essentially a holiday. Will they be taking holiday days for this?
Yeah, certainly they will be taking holiday days. We will obviously, as it's stated, there will be monitoring of the office for payroll and processing of payments. What it does reflect is 2 business days. If you look at it, it basically equates to two business days that the office would be open. I believe it's the 28th or 27th, 28th. I'm not sure exactly of the dates. So we did also recommend, or I do also recommend that we do accept payments as late as the following Monday that we're open. So to answer both questions, it's a recommendation from administration in front of you. It's definitely not something that will happen unless it's passed. And no, nobody will be getting a day with that they're not working without pay. It will be holiday days.
Are there any other questions? I do know past practice that we have closed the office for that week, and staff has gone in and completed payroll and all the necessary paperwork. Okay, is there a mover and seconder for a motion to close the municipal office to the public for the holiday season beginning December 24th, 2021 until January 3rd of 2022, and to hold off on any late payment penalties until Wednesday, June 5th, 2022. Councillor Muir. Councillor Tedesco. All in favor? All hands rising, motion is carried. Okay, next is item 8.7, discussion purposes relating to the regular scheduled council meeting on January 3rd, 2022. Do members of council have questions of Mr. Figlamini? Councillor Tedesco.
If council is not going to be meeting, then I would suggest that we reduce the honorarium by 50% on that month.
Reduce council's honorarium?
Yes. Well, other than the mayor, because the mayor is going to be working probably every minute of the day during this time. I don't think that council should receive payment for that session. Well, again, that would be a motion that you would have to put on the table as a councillor. I certainly would not recommend that, but as administration, but again, it's something that if you wanted to put that on the table as a councillor, then you could do that. If it was seconded and voted on, then that's something that we could implement. That's again a decision of council. Yes, thank you.
Any other questions about canceling that meeting, which is historically been canceled because government is not in session and also the municipal office is closed? Would the rest of council want me to amend the vote?
So the motion would need to be seconded, and then we could draft up a motion that
Okay.
the 50% honor, or the 50% of the honorarium would be held back.
Okay, so I'm going to pass the cancellation of the meeting, and then I'll write up a motion. Okay, is there a mover and seconder for motion to close the municipal? Wrong one, sorry. Is there a mover and seconder for motion to cancel the regular scheduled meeting Monday, January 3rd, 2022? Councillor Tedesco, Councillor Muir, all in favor? All hands rising, motion is carried. Okay, motion on the floor. Be it resolved that council reduce their honorarium to 50% in the month of January 2022. Is there a mover and seconder for that motion? No, it's all or nothing. So, yeah. Councillor Muir, Councillor Tedesco, all in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, item 8.8 is from Councillor Muir for discussion purposes relating to the Recreation Advisory Committee. So Gord, go ahead. You do have a few minutes, and then we'll ask any questions.
Pardon me. Yep. So I guess over the last couple of years, looking at the scope of the Recreation Committee, as stated that the Recreation Advisory Committee is a committee of council. Committee meets monthly during the winter season, approximately 6 times per year, to consider and advise council on operations and developments and facilities, and to plan programming and events. I know it's been a struggle to have members for this. I think that if we look at the Recreation Committee as the effectiveness, I think, is kind of gone over the years. And I was looking at possibly having this committee, because I believe the only event we really did, we do have an employee down there that does organize most of the stuff. So as far as the program planning and events, Winter Carnival was an event that basically is kind of the only thing, right? Just looking at the Winter Carnival. I was actually hoping that we could look at possibly taking the Recreation Center Committee, dissolving the actual Recreation Center Advisory Committee, and having it transform and merge with possibly the Welcome Committee into a Town Events Committee, something that would merge into having more events. Because I think one of the other big events was the Fire and Ice, which it technically is in the rec center. So that was another one that kind of went through. Santa Skate took part in many different locations the last couple of years. Last year it didn't happen. So I was just looking at that, just looking for a committee that's got possible more effective, like can make a positive effect in the community. Taking the existing members on there, merging them with the Welcome Committee, and we could still do Winter Carnival. But this way, it'd be a broader spectrum. Maybe we can recruit more too, and look at a full-on event committee that ties into the 75th. I think that'd be more attractive. Speaking with people, it'd be more attractive to have members come aboard. It'd be something that might entice people more, because that just takes us out of the realm of the rec center. And like I said, as far as committee for rec center, I mean, Taekwondo's running, pickleball's running. There's events happening, right? So everybody knows about them. So it was just my thought. We can get a committee, an actual effective committee, grow the numbers on it, and start looking at that.
Are there any comments?
I like it. I think it sounds good, and it sounds like fun, and maybe people will join that, like to collaborate ideas for events. Yeah, I think that sounds good.
So my only concern about that is that we are now investing over the next couple of years, almost $2 million into the recreation center. We have a good thing starting, coming out of COVID. We have lots of registration, or I mean, lots of users already for the arena ice, bowling. As you said, we do have implementing some programs. Maybe we can pause that committee for now, but I think just to abolish it or to get rid of it, I don't think at this time is best. I do like the other committee or starting something else. But at this time, I'm just saying, like, if we're investing that kind of money into the building, right, that committee may be useful in the near future. So that's my comment on it.
But so are you saying that the rec committee is only for the rec center? Like, couldn't it just encompass everything? This new committee, like events, or isn't that don't we hire somebody for that rec center to do those events and programs?
That's kind of what I was saying. We do have an employee down there that doesn't really need to sit with us to, like, we have 2 meetings that haven't happened so far as well too. Just, maybe not dissolving it, but maybe putting it on hold and maybe trying another committee. Because I know there is some movement happening for local events in collaboration with Live from the Rock, things of that nature, where, it's looking like we might need another committee to help out with some of these events as well too. Like,
Maybe administration can look into the scope or the mandate of the recreation committee, and maybe we can work together on that and expand it or something like that. But I think to get rid of that committee that really was specific to the rec center, but maybe we can expand that.
yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we can definitely look at the scope of that particular committee, as well as trying to, I guess what I'm hearing is enhance the committee and try to encompass a little bit more out of the committee. So we can definitely look at that. I mean, that's not a problem.
Okay, next item is 8.9, Councillor Tedesco, for discussion purposes only relating to business recognition. So Cam, you have a few minutes and then.
I'll make it short. The reason that I brought this up is that I want to showcase Red Rock as we are open for business. And one of the things that I was thinking might be useful is that if we have a few minutes at the beginning of council meetings, even before the meetings officially start, we have a business come and present to council and to the community the service that they provide. And one of the things that really sparked my mind on this is that we have a new garage in town, and you wouldn't believe the amount of positive comments I've heard from people at the bank, people all over the place about, gee, this new garage. I don't think too many people know about this place. So if we can help them to showcase themselves and provide, to let people know what services they provide. I've also come across sweets and treats, some little business I had no idea was existing. And all of a sudden I find out that the amount of products that they put and the quality of products is remarkable. Who knew about this place? So if we can bring these people together, the other example, the florist shop. I had no idea we had a florist shop. We got a florist shop in town. And even something as, it may seem silly, but even if we have some kids to come forward and say, yes, we provide a dog walking service, or we will cut your grass or something like that. We're open for business. Let the world know Red Rock is alive and doing well. We've got some really good people here. That's it.
Any comments on
I really agree with you that we should be promoting these small businesses because there is tons of them. I just don't think at the council meeting is the proper place. We do have a website that lists business, it's a business directory on there that is really outdated. So those businesses could be promoted there. Facebook and maybe, and I know there's a lot of, maybe elderly people that are not on Facebook. So maybe even having some type of like a one-time flyer or something. Yeah, I do agree. There's tons of small businesses in this town.
Do you have any comments?
Yeah, no, I like the idea too. I mean, if we can incorporate that, I liked what we were doing on the Facebook page we had with the good stories. Because I know that the auto shop ended up on one of them. I mean, that's fantastic. We could do maybe a spotlight every month of a business on the actual Facebook page. That'd be fantastic too.
At one time, at our welcome committee meetings, we started a list of all the businesses that we could think of that were in town. And we thought about having like, what would you call it? Like an event at the Legion.
Yeah, the
and having
Oktoberfest.
Tables of all these different little companies, so that they could promote their stuff and just to let everybody know what's out there and what they have. That was something that we thought, and then COVID happened and.
Yeah, we still have all the plans for that,
Yeah.
but we still, there's a lot more businesses now that
Okay, great suggestions. Unfortunately, under the municipal act, we're unable to add under that type of presentation, besides somebody coming to council asking for something or giving a deputation. But we can also always improve, showing and showcasing the businesses in Red Rock. So administration knows, right, hearing all the suggestions here. Obviously, there's more. We do try, as you can see on the Facebook page and stuff like that. But maybe a flyer for the senior, like for people who don't access internet and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, great suggestions. Okay, there are no new bylaws to approve. Okay, item 10.1 is for discussion purposes only from Councillor Muir relating to council recognition program. You have a few minutes.
Yeah, so I put a PowerPoint presentation together. It's actually really good. Can we roll it? Probably not, eh? So that's the thing. It was a really good PowerPoint.
Yeah, I can't.
Things were
roll
fading
it.
in and out and everything. It was really
It
excellent.
was. I did watch it in the PowerPoint level, but we included it as a paper copy, unfortunately. Gord.
Well, it's still great. But so what I was looking at, and you know what, I put this together because I think, I know working as a supervisor in long-term care, we every day struggle to find, the positive side of everything. And we went through a wellness program, and recognition came up as a top thing, right? I think recognition is super important. I think that we could put together a recognition program, kind of like an employee of the month program, where we could showcase all this. And it states it here. And, I kicked out a number here, and I kicked out an idea for gift cards, things of that. But I mean, everything's up for debate, but I would really like to see an actual recognition program. So like we were talking about with the businesses, but people nominating each other. Somebody does something great, send in a nomination. Here's what they did. It was great in the community. There's a lot of good things happening. And it kind of thought back to that article, Brad Olson. Remember the article in the paper there? Like just phenomenal things, like things like that, letting people know, hey, so-and-so did a great job today. This volunteer did this, recognizing people. I think recognition is key. It does lead to strong teams. It does lead to pride in the community. So I was hoping we could do something like that where they would send us in. Process is up for debate, like I said. This is just kind of a process I thought of where they'd email us, council as a whole. We could read out and, pick a name out of a hat, have a little, and then run their story, right?
Just a quick
Councillor
comment.
McDonald.
So now that we're 50% for January, there's some money we could throw towards the gift certificate.
I'm glad you caught that. That's exactly what we could do, right? Because there is there. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't mind doing that. If that's one of those things where it takes giving up 50% to use the recognition, it's one of those things. Obviously, when it comes to finances, that's up to the CEO to make a policy surrounding that. So we're compliant. I'm sure you could do that because they do that. It is a common thing, recognition and there is common gifts there. It is one of those things. It could be a $5 Tim card. You know, it's something we give out a picture, a plaque, and then a meal on our facility. So again, too, it's one of those things. I just think it's good to, when an employee or a volunteer does something really good, everybody hears about it, right? Let's take the positive stories and tell everybody about it.
Councillor Tedesco, did you have anything? No? I like the idea. There's just some committees do more some months than others. So like you said, it's an initial plan, but I think maybe over the next few months, I'm sure we can work on something and implement it. But like I said, committee of adjustment, like nobody knows that committee, right? But I mean, they do a valuable service for the community. So it's just, that's
Yeah.
only in need. And
And
the
I-
library, which is monthly,
Yep.
it's right. So anyways, but it's something we can work on.
And I was thinking too, because that's a good point. I mean, the reality is, we've got a good, strong committee with that environmental committee. Like we've got good long meetings, lots of discussion happening, but it doesn't have to be someone on a committee. I'm thinking it could be somebody that helps somebody carry the groceries home. And then somebody sends in a letter saying, hey, this person helped me carry my groceries. Well, let's acknowledge that, right? Let's tell everyone, hey, this person helped this person carry the groceries home. Like, it's a small town, a lot of new people too. And I mean, it's a good way for people to get to know each other too, right? So it doesn't have to just be committee, but I do think the staff portion, I would like to see a staff portion for like employee of the month. I would like to see something like that for sure. Like start right away, like next month, where the employees can nominate their coworkers, and we can even start that off with a $5 Tim card and, just an acknowledgement.
Okay, so administration has some processes to figure out on this, I guess.
Yeah, I guess the only question I would have is this an administrative led program or is this a council led program? Because it was presented as a council, and if that's the case, then just get us that information, or and at least we can have these further discussions on where we want to go with that. I mean, I echo those statements. I mean, I think the staff is the heart of the community. The volunteers are the heart of the community. And I'll be honest with you. I mean, coming in here for 6 months, staff that I could speak of, volunteers have been fantastic. So I guess ultimately, when you work with a staff that's respected and happy, you're definitely going to get a lot more out of that staff person in the long run. And I truly believe that.
So just to comment that so being the only two management, it'd be you and Blair, you would be exempt. And for 7 years, I was nominated once and they told me I couldn't be it, broke my heart. So I think both of you should be in that. Because I mean, it's a thing. I think both of you should be involved in that as well too. And if the prize is BCAO for the day, that could be the prize. What do you think?
Yeah, again, we'll take the direction from council, and we you had mentioned earlier, even into the good news stories and that we started on social media and that, and I don't disagree with you. I think it adds to the community, and it's usually like I said, exactly that, a good news story. So we'll take direction. We'll put something together, and council can discuss that and let us know as well.
I think it should be council directed, council initiated, council activated. Take some of the pressure off you.
Yeah, that's totally fine. It enables you to make those decisions and me to not have to pick who my employee of the month is.
Okay, thank you for that discussion.
sorry, one more thing. So since there is a little bit of extra money from council from January, maybe some of that money can go towards a small little, like maybe in-office Christmas party for the staff. Or, you know, just a small scale get together with lunch or something. Maybe that's something we could check into too.
No, certainly we can check into that. Like I said, I mean, I always had my intention and was to do something internally for my staff in that level as well. But certainly we can look at you know, whatever avenue you want to take for that. Definitely, that's something we can look at for sure.
So just to be clear, the 50% reduction is in January, so that's when it would be. Right, okay, yeah. I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Well, that's up to administration to see if that's possible, but we're gonna follow the rules for that. Okay, moving on. Item 11.1 is for approval as it relates to the land recognition acknowledgement for council meetings. Do members of council have questions of Mr. Ficumini?
I think the declaration is a little bit too long. I think it could probably end. Council of the Township of Red Rock hereby acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of the Superior Robinson Superior Treaty, and we should just end it at that. I think it goes a little bit too far when it's home of the Red Rock Indian Band, the Shinabek and the Métis.
I think I gotta, sorry, Councillor Tasco, I disagree. There's kind of a standard way of doing these and acknowledging that that's part of the declarations.
I would definitely agree with Councillor Muir. There is a traditional declaration. What I will do with this is we'll implement this. I will go back for clarification on proper spelling because there is a few different ways to spell, but I will make sure moving forward that we have the proper spelling for certain words directly related to our local council. So I think this is one that was discussed with the chief of the Red Rock or the Red Rock Indian Band as well and approved. So I think it's important to acknowledge each and every member that's in the declaration.
The reason I brought that up is that it might open avenues for other people that might say, well, you know, not only just the Métis, but say something else or something else. And I just wanted to just generally cover the area. That's just a general coverage. But if that's the traditional way of doing things, then I will go along with whatever is the traditional acceptable way.
Is there a mover and seconder for a motion to approve to open all council meetings with the acknowledgement of traditional territory beginning the next scheduled meeting on Monday, December 6, 2021? Councillor Muir, Councillor McDonald. All in favor? All hands rising, motion is carried. Okay, next item is a bylaw to confirm proceedings of council. Can I have a mover and seconder for motion to pass the bylaw? Councillor McDonald, Councillor Muir, all in favor? All hands rising, motion is carried. Lick my finger. Okay, so the time now being 8:10, there's no other further business to attend to. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.